Hi, welcome to our channel True Up. Today, let's focus on the fact that Canada's 5G dream has come to an end. Huawei has withdrawn its 5G patent and fired the Canadian department. The fast development of 5G networks would be impossible without the efforts of a Chinese telecommunications behemoth, Huawei. With the rapid expansion of Huawei's 5G technology and devices, some Western countries, including the United Kingdom, the United States, and Canada, were envious of Huawei's contribution. At the same time, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Canada joined forces to oppose Huawei's 5G technology. Huawei has recently said that it cannot stand Canada. Huawei has officially confirmed the withdrawal of its 5G patent and the dismissal of the Canadian department. Let us weigh in. As more and more devices connect to the internet and technologies like as virtual reality, immersive gaming, and driverless cars emerge, 5G popularization, or fifth-generation networks, will deliver users faster internet connections and massive data capacity to fulfill insatiable demand. As the Liberal administration prepares to unveil its strategy on next-generation mobile networks, global security experts predict the Chinese vendor Huawei Technologies will be excluded from the long-awaited blueprint. The Conservatives have long pressured the Liberals to deny Huawei a role in creating the country's 5G infrastructure, claiming that it would make it easier for Beijing to eavesdrop on Canadians. Some argue that Huawei's participation will offer it access to a wealth of digital data acquired from how, when, and when Canadians use internet-connected gadgets. According to the argument, Chinese security agents may then compel the corporation to hand up the personal information. These fears stem from the fact that China's national intelligence law requires Chinese organizations and people to support, help, and cooperate with official intelligence activity. Huawei maintains that it is a fiercely autonomous firm that does not spy for anyone, even Beijing. "We sell in 180 countries around the world," said Ali Khan Velshi, Huawei Canada's Vice President of Corporate Affairs. "We have to comply with the laws of each of those countries. And if we were to violate the trust, we would find ourselves only selling in one country." Whether or not Huawei poses a genuine security risk, the concerns have given rise to a widespread belief that countries cannot afford to bet on a telecommunications firm enthusiastically supported by Beijing, according to Wesley Wark, an adjunct professor at the University of Ottawa and a senior fellow with the Centre for International Governance Innovation. The corporation is simply too perceptually tied with the Chinese leadership to allow Western states to do anything different, Wark added. And they do have options. Velshi stated that Huawei Canada hopes and anticipates that whatever choice the federal government takes on 5G policy would be based on technology rather than politics. He also underlines that the majority of Huawei's around 1,600 Canadian workers work in R&D and marketing goods other than network equipment for telecom providers. "The fact is that we have a diverse business in Canada," said Velshi. "That's why we sell cell phones, earbuds, and laptops in Canada." While the Huawei issue has received a lot of attention, the government's 5G examination is a far larger, strategic look at how the emerging technology may help Canada's economy. However, in order to capitalize on this promise for economic development through 5G, the technology's safety and security must be maintained, according to briefing papers written earlier this year for Bill Blair, then Public Safety Minister. Incidents caused by hostile actors exploiting vulnerabilities will be more difficult to prevent and may have a greater impact than in prior generations of wireless technology. Decisions made months or even years ago in foreign government meetings and company boardrooms are likely to fundamentally impact the Canadian 5G deployment, whether by chance or by design. Three of Canada's Five Eyes intelligence-sharing allies, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia, have taken substantial actions to limit the use of Huawei equipment in their respective 5G networks. The federal government agrees that the United States has strongly advised countries to exercise caution when it comes to 5G security, stressing that an American group will visit Canada in March 2020 to address the subject with different ministries and government officials. According to Van Hamsen, a professor of international politics at Carleton University, the United States has made it obvious that Canada must get on board if it wants to remain a member of the club. "It's the security premium you pay not just nationally, but also for being a member of privileged security partnerships like the Five Eyes. There is no such thing as a free lunch, and you can't have it both ways," Hampson said. "This is the huge reckoning we're facing right now. and I believe it's quite evident which way the administration will go. A complex geopolitical drama between Ottawa and Beijing has effectively put Canada's 5G policy announcement on hold for the previous 3 years. Meng Wanzhou, a top Huawei executive, was detained in December 2018 at the request of the United States, where she was wanted on suspicion of breaking Iranian sanctions. The decision plainly enraged Beijing, and 2 Canadians working in China, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, were jailed shortly after on suspicion of harming national security, in what was generally interpreted as reprisal against Ottawa. The United States recently reached a deferred prosecution arrangement in Meng's case, granting her parole, and Beijing allowed the 2 Michaels, as they became known, to go back to Canada. Meanwhile, major Canadian telecom firms dealt with the uncertainty by collaborating with Ericsson of Sweden, Nokia of Finland, and Samsung of South Korea to help create their 5G networks. Huawei has announced its intention to leave Canada and withdraw from the 5G building project. This new Huawei advancement will be devastating to Canada's development. It is expected that 4,500 Canadians would lose their employment as a result of the major layoffs. Following the shutdown of its domestic operations, Huawei's 6G Research and Development Center in Canada is also scheduled to relocate. Furthermore, because Canada lacks clearance for Huawei's 5G patents, the installation of 5G in Canada may only be delayed further. Even if they quit Huawei, they will be unable to sidestep Huawei's technologies entirely. After all, Huawei now possesses the most 5G patents in the world, with 3,147. As a result, Nokia and Ericsson will be unable to provide services in Canada until Huawei's 5G technology is available. Only if Canada develops fully new 5G masts throughout the country, which is very doubtful at the moment. More importantly, Canada has extensive collaboration with other Chinese firms. Huawei openly declared in 2018 that it would no longer cooperate with the company. Huawei has fought back since then, shutting its domestic R&D center, selling 490 million yuan, and laying off a substantial number of people. So far, around 1,000 staff have been laid off. Huawei has less than 200 workers in Australia so far. Many sectors in Australia have been affected to varied degrees since then, and there have even been a handful of disconnections. Today, the paths of Canada and Australia are not dissimilar. Huawei began to retaliate by charging royalties. Huawei will not be adversely harmed in this situation. Instead, it will be on the lookout in other nations. After all, at this point in development, Huawei's leadership in 5G is a fait conclusion. If Huawei is dropped, 5G construction will lag. Huawei is now defending its rights by charging other firms for patents. Even the largest communication companies, such as Samsung and Apple, are represented. The maximum per device pricing is $2.50. For example, Bell Canada had little to say about the upcoming federal statement. We have no comment other than to say that we are pleased with our 5G network suppliers, Ericsson and Nokia, said spokesperson Caroline Audet. Huawei claims that its participation in Canada's current mobile networks has resulted in no security-related complaints from consumers or the government concerning its equipment. And it is still a vital element of Canada's telecommunications network today, Velshi added. Nonetheless, if Canada prohibits Huawei from participating in 5G, it will raise concerns about the destiny of legacy Huawei equipment in previously established networks. The Canadian Security Review Program has been in existence since 2013 to address cybersecurity concerns, according to the government. The Communications Security Establishment, Canada's cyber spy agency, collaborates with telecom firms and equipment providers to keep specific equipment out of vital portions of Canadian networks and to guarantee that gear is tested before it is utilized in less susceptible systems. According to the government, the knowledge gained via the initiative will be useful in identifying cyber threats and dangers associated with developing technology. Thanks for watching our video. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. See you.